Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment. You can listen to The Mike O'Mara Show at MikeO'MaraShow.com.
Well, what have we here?
It's a podcast.
Fine.
And what excitement we have today.
It's the Mike O'Mara Bonus Show with Mike O'Mara and Rob Spiewak. Now, here's Mike.
Maybe that's when it happened, when you tried to do that effect. I don't know. It's weird. That's behind-the-scenes crap. Welcome to the Mike O'Mara Show bonus hour. Fuck me. Anyway,
No.
I'm sorry. No, just a little... when you hear something that is so faint...
Yeah.
But it drives you nuts anyway because we're all audiophiles. It makes me crazy, but I'll stop talking about it because if I keep talking about it, I will go nuts. I want to really say... I have gotten a lot of feedback on this show over the years, but I've never gotten anything comparatively to what we got this week. And people
Lovely,
have
isn't
been
it?
so terrific, and it's always tough when change happens, especially change happens suddenly.
Right.
And it's really, really appreciated. You guys have been really terrific, and I'm so grateful that everybody has taken the time to reach out and say nice things. It's really, and I haven't, if there's a lot of venom out there, I haven't stumbled upon it. I've heard references to it. Oh, he's talking about golf again. Well, yeah, well, F you.
Mike, you can say it the real way because it's the bonus show.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
Okay.
I always felt that with the guys when they went over to Sirius, guys like Opie and Anthony, where they felt obligated or pressure to cuss. And believe me, I cuss enough on my own, on the spur of the moment, when I don't need to fake
I've never heard it.
I know you never heard it in your life, but interesting week and a good week and a really, really good week. And right down to your wife, Carrie, reaching out and saying nice things to Carla last night. Just
I
much
had no
appreciated.
idea.
Yeah,
that's so nice of her.
She talked about you being happy, and I think that's great. And I don't think I'm speaking out of school, and I think that's that makes me happy. You know,
funny that she would write that after we got back from a funeral. Rob is so happy.
Oh yeah, it was just another in the long series. And Carrie, if I spoke out of school about that one,
will never happen again. And I'm sorry.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. So welcome to the bonus show. This is Rob's thing, and we didn't get to a few things on the show this week. The number one thing,
Mike.
Housekeeping, is the Diddy situation. Sean Diddy Combs,
Right.
and a tough story to follow based on how much bullshit is involved in this. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have sex trafficking. That's
I've heard of this, yes.
That's what you've heard of sex
Yeah,
trafficking?
no, I've heard the alleged sex trafficking dealing with Sean Combs.
Then we have the money issues, where apparently the income stream that he has dried up, and he's living lavishly above his means. I don't know whether that's true. I know the man is involved in a lot of things. Then we have the lesser stories, but they're still out there about him groping people. There's a video around where he's sitting on a TV set with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson moves his hand away, and all of this. And then you have the added element of people like Ashton Kutcher going to his annual white party where he's got the white suit, the white shirt, and he's dancing. And apparently the comments from some of these celebrities have been, oh, I don't think we should talk about that.
Yeah,
well,
and
what
almost
the fuck was going on?
And almost a lighthearted, oh, I don't know if we want to get into that. Well, if it's something you don't want to get into, especially at this time, maybe you ought to get into it. And I remember when I threw my white party, everyone got so pissed off.
Well, yours was, when you have a sign in the driveway that says heritage, not hate, that makes for a Very fucked up.
All I
evening,
know is that
as far as I'm
every
concerned.
January 6th, Mike, I like to get together with my friends. Is that
You
such
do.
a crime?
Yeah, and they, I tell you, it's more camo than I've ever seen in one place.
Which
Let me
means the
see.
camo's not doing its job. If
I'm
you're
gonna
seeing
to
it.
dive in right now.
Please.
See what the latest.
Now, you've
is.
never been invited to one of Sean Combs' parties, have you?
I haven't had the pleasure. I would have gone. I would have gone in a
second.
heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially before all the allegations.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay. The latest comes from, I don't know, People Magazine one day. Jelly Roll recalls turning down a meet and greet with Diddy. Okay. Here's the weird underlying stuff.
Yeah.
The country star had the chance to meet Sean Diddy Combs before lawsuits were filed accusing the music mogul of sex trafficking. Even before Sean Diddy Combs was facing sex trafficking allegations, Jelly Roll didn't feel right about posing with him for a photo. Well, of course, the big question, why?
Yeah. Well,
in
also, too much Jelly Roll lately.
A lot of Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And by the way, nothing says, I want to hang out with you than face tattoos. Hey, if it works, if it works for, people, that's fine. I got no
Even
problem with that.
Julia says that's a bit much.
Post Malone works for him. Jelly Roll
Yes.
works for him. In a new interview alongside his wife, Bunny
Bunny Roll.
So, is it Bunny?
No, it's-
On the canceled podcast. I guess that's the name of the podcast. Who the fuck knows? So much shit out there.
Too much
the
shit.
39-year-old country star recalled turning down a photo with Diddy after they both appeared on the same episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live last fall. Quote, "This is the first time in my career ever where they said, 'Do you want to meet such and such?' And I said, 'Yeah.' And I started walking that way. And as I was getting down the hallway, this is a true story, I said, 'Nah,' and went and got back in the car," said Jelly. I don't know what it was.
Said Jelly.
Said Jelly. Well, it's a written article. I don't know what it was, and I made a joke at first. Let's see. God. Nobody thought that was funny, so I was like, "Oh, that's a bomb. Maybe I shouldn't go and do this anyway." So I was already skeptical. It doesn't say any details as to why he was doing that.
Well, he was being Jelly Roll, and he
That's
almost
such a
met him.
bullshit answer, though. I had a feeling. I mean,
Well,
come
I
on.
mean, and also he's almost Tom Hanksing it. He's everywhere right now. And who cares if you turned that down? That just means you didn't see anything. What I
And
want is
I
someone who
also-
saw
look,
something.
regardless of how you feel about the circumstances, I know nothing about what's true, what isn't true.
Right.
But that does strike me, if you're not giving specific info, a little bit of, I'm going to attach myself to the story.
Oh, 100%.
Correct?
Yes, especially when you mentioned Bunny Roll, his wife.
Now, this is, I forgot to mention in the opening, the misconduct, the sexual misconduct lawsuits that he suffered
Yeah.
during this. That he suffered. That's not the right way.
He
Let's
faced.
see.
Yeah.
All right, this one comes from.
It's just there's so much smoke surrounding it, and what we need is an eyewitness, and no one seems to be coming forward.
Well, the feds are. The federal investigation surrounding Sean Diddy Combs continues to deepen, with more and more layers coming to light as new information surfaces, or as old photos resurface on social media. Did you hear that pop by this?
I heard one pop, yes.
Okay. There's some gribblies going on the bonus
Yeah.
show today. That's at the center of a new controversy facing Justin and Christian Combs, two of Diddy's sons. Images from the 2010s are coming back to haunt the brothers and those who maintained associations with the Combs family over the years. Let me see.
And wasn't there a kid called King?
Yeah, there's a King that was there also
Right.
when they did the raid. A rediscovered photo of Nicki Minaj attending Justin Combs' 16th birthday party have plunged the rapper into some hot water. Justin is now 30 years old. He faces allegations that he helped Sean cover up a 2022 shooting in LA. Jesus
Wow.
Christ. And he was detained briefly as federal authorities raided Diddy's LA home last month. And I'm looking at these videos. It just goes on and on and on.
But don't you think the thing that stinks the most is the celebrities that were obviously there and witnessed things
If you
and
were
don't
there
talk about
and
it.
you're saying we don't want to talk about it, now's the time to talk about it.
Exactly.
There's something. Well, the reason celebrities that were there aren't going to talk about it because if it was something horrible and they look the other way and they've never said anything about it, they're fucked too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But it's just it's a shame.
I don't know.
It's a
It
shame.
seems to me when you're having 16-year-old birthday parties that are similar to parties you would have in a club.
Yeah.
I think you can get into
Decadence.
trouble. By the way, an underaged, party situation, shit can happen. And I hate to pile two stories into one, but the kid down here that was from, I think, Northport, Florida, or Port Charlotte, it's on a 4-day cruise. He's in a hot tub at 3:30 in the morning with his brother.
Right.
The father comes down, bumps into them, starts complaining because they obviously have been drinking.
Yeah.
And the 120-year-old, who's an underage kid, says, well, I'll fix that right now. Jumps out 11-story window on the cruise ship to his death. They never find the kid, and that goes on and on. I mean, the idea that in this day and age that you still will have parents that will choose to placate their teens, and that's not the kid that jumped. I think the father was down there trying to be a parent, but that would have a party that's like anywhere near substances. Kids are going to party.
Of course
I
they
did
are.
when I was 16. I did when I was 15. But as soon as you make that okay, you open the door to much more severe situations because they're going to say, fuck it, I can drink whatever I want.
I was always troubled by the parents when both my kids are above 21 now. So thank God it's not something I have to worry about. But there's always
We
the
gave you
parents.
shit even when he was 21, when you
I
were
know.
going down there, when you were drinking, when you went down there and you were partying with him. And that was probably because you were a little cloudy with your situation.
Sure,
right?
I was not in the best of minds, but
You would
also
probably do that sober, would you?
no, I don't think I would. I don't think
you
I
probably
would.
shy away from it.
Yeah,
you know.
But and then Carrie, of course, she set the good example by spilling the nacho cheese on the man in front of us. But that's another story for another time.
And then, people, there's actually infrared pictures of that where she vaped, and then she grabbed Rob's junk.
And it was on the
As I said, junk.
Jumbotron at the WVU Stadium.
We call it the Lauren Boebert.
But what bothers me is the parents that were really outwardly with high schoolers saying, well, if you want to drink at home. I'll buy it for you. As long as you stay at home, it's safe. Well, that's really opening a door to something that's not safe. I know my kids partied in high school, and we had an understanding that if any alcohol touched your lips, call us anytime, night or day, and we will come get you. Do not dare drive. Right. That was our deal. And you don't turn a blind eye to it, but you have to be aware that some things are going to happen. And I don't think there should be any need to encourage it as you would at a 16-year-old club-themed
Well, here it is.
birthday
I
party.
think that if I want to make sure that I've got this right. When you talk about fame, real fame, and I'm talking about Sean Diddy Combs fame,
Next level stuff.
it's next level. It is. And you are decades and decades. You see it with occasional sports figures. Mm-hmm. You see guys now coming into the NFL that have, I believe, handlers and trainers that say, this is how you deal with this. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't have that with Diddy.
No.
And you realize that when someone has smoke blown up their ass for that period of time, all perspective is lost. You can go, it's a modern example with Diddy, and it's an old example with guys like Elvis.
It's what killed him. It's
there
what
were no,
absolutely killed him. Yeah.
there were no curbs to this behavior. That guardrails is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
No guardrails to this behavior, and it goes on and on and on. And then throw in teenagers
Oh, it's dangerous.
who have the same level of entitlement, but it will all shake loose. But this is truly something that's amazing, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, you
I
just
don't
have to
know.
hope that justice is served, and if someone has information, they come forward, even if
Did
it makes
you,
them look bad.
Did you get a chance to see the Netflix docudrama about Prince Andrew, where they have the interview that essentially eliminated him from public life in the
Oh,
royal
yeah,
family.
yeah.
And
Horrifying.
it was really Gillian Anderson plays the British BBC reporter that does the interview, and just the level of disconnect. I somehow, Rob, when I think about these people that get involved in these situations, especially with underage girls, there is an empathy chip, and see if you can connect the dots on this. A lack of empathy chip.
Right. Hello, Rob.
There's a lack of empathy chip where you are not considering human beings to be other human beings.
Right.
And it's bad enough if somebody is like Jeffrey Epstein, who is, I believe he was childless. I don't think he had any kids. But when you're somebody who has your own children, how fucked up is that?
That's messed up. It
where
is.
you can't put that in there. But ultimately, when I was looking at the docuseries, docudrama about Prince Andrew, I was looking at someone who just was completely and utterly clueless to his. He knew he was in trouble, but
Right.
that's the only time it mattered to him. And he denied. And he goes out on the BBC on their nighttime news program and pretty much shows everybody what he is, and then removed of the royal titles after that, and never did another public where I think he got off easy, and he should have
I do
probably
too.
gone to jail because of that behavior. But
Well,
it
he's
was
raised in a
weird.
culture where he's being told he's better than everyone else. And then all the media backs up the fact you're better than everyone else.
It comes from total and complete entitlement.
Yep.
Where
You're right.
the moral compass, if you've got a moral compass that's a little skewed in the first place, and then you have wealth, power, fame, all that shit, and you have it from a remarkably young age,
It reinforces it all.
Whatever the bad behaviors are going to be, Diddy, are probably just they increase exponentially, and you think you're bulletproof and you can get away with it.
Right.
Murder is involved in these allegations, sex trafficking, sexual assault. Jesus Christ, it goes on, and then throw his kids in with the same deal.
It's like
it's
if you
stunning.
put a 16-year-old in that situation, you're passing along that chip.
Right.
100%.
I think so. So
You have
we'll-
to live by example.
Stay
I guess.
tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I wanted to talk to you, Mike, if we can, about the Masters coming up. Now, you mentioned we talked about the Masters yesterday. It actually started yesterday. But do you
The
think
par 3 competition was yesterday, Rob.
do you think that Mr. Tiger Woods has a shot at it this year?
There was an article in. I'm so glad you brought that up. Since you brought. Now, I did not bring up golf, ladies
No,
and gentlemen.
this is like Super Bowl, NCAA bracket. This is big
All
news,
right.
folks.
I want to read an article that pissed me off.
Okay.
All right. Let me just see if I can get
And
it
I
by going
also,
to the-
I always like to mention, Mike, that the first day of this podcast from your living room was the day after Tiger's voicemails, his sexy voicemails were released, where he said, I don't want to talk about this. You've got to keep quiet. So this podcast actually runs concurrent with the decline of Tiger's career. His first major scandal happened on the first day of this podcast.
There is an article in the New York Post by this nozzle, Mark Canizzaro.
Okay.
When I used to cover the Washington Capitals for a local radio station, had a chance to hang around sports writers.
Okay.
This is a different kind of life form.
All right.
Sometimes they elevate themselves to personalities, and you see them on TV, and they have to make nice. But behind the scenes, a more cynical bunch you will not find. A
Yeah.
more snarky bunch you will not find. These are guys that wanted to get into sports, but have, in large part not been successful in a sports situation, so they've chosen to write about it. And really, you can go back to the movie The Natural and look at the Robert Duvall character in that plays the snarkiest, nastiest guy, and they think that they're bigger than the athlete, or they think they have power over the athlete.
You can go
So-
back to movies from the 1930s and 40s. It's a trope.
Right.
It is the angry, cynical sports writer. And
Here's
they
the
exist.
headline.
Yeah.
Here's the headline from the New York Post. Tiger Woods is fooling himself at the Masters. Well, fuck you. I knew that was a nasty article to
Yeah,
start with.
I wonder what angle he's going to take.
And it says he still thinks he can win. Believe him or bet on him at your own peril. And then it goes on to talk about the recent record of withdrawing from events because of different ailments. And then at the very end, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to dignify it by
Right.
reading it. But it talks about his delusion. And it's like, fuck you. Here's what I know about betting against professional athletes.
Okay.
And I know about it because I have gotten wrapped up in watching a game and then posted online. And within half an hour, I regret it because the guy that I was throwing darts at ended up scoring a goal. You don't do it. It's not nice. And it's mean. It's just mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Okay, so at the very end, he covers his ass. And he's talking about asking Tiger at Augusta about the idea that he can win the Masters.
Right.
So this guy says, referencing Nicklaus' one-time hesitation, I asked Woods on Tuesday whether he had thoughts about his mortality as a competitor. Well, what a nice fucking question that would be. Eventually morphing into a ceremonial golfer and even taking part as one of the honorary starters for the annual event. Asking Tiger Woods that now, when the guy won a green jacket in 2019, to me, I admire your balls and your total snark, but it's dicky.
It is
and
dicky.
I just think, to what end? Well, Tiger says, no, I have not thought about being an honorary starter here, no. And I bet inside he was going, I'd like to take that guy and throw him into Rays Creek. Then I asked, this is the reporter, this nozzle, in a more immediate sense, what'll happen when he doesn't think everything can come together and result in a victory? He said, well, I still think they can. I don't know when that day is or when that day comes, but I haven't gotten to that point where I don't think I can. That is just so, I don't know.
No,
I know sports writers are supposed to ask but to what end? What are you trying to do, bud? Make a name for yourself?
Yeah, I was going to
Is that what
say,
you're
are you going to somehow diminish the fact that he's won the biggest tournament in the sport 5 times?
Yeah, and then this nozzle writes, miracles can happen. Some felt 2019 fell into that category. 2019 didn't feel like a miracle. It felt like a fucking comeback.
Yes.
And if you ever played sports, you'd probably get that distinction. But Woods is now surely there, needing a miracle to contend. You know, what a nice, safe bet. The guy that's had his leg shattered and has withdrawn from multiple events and does not play nearly as many tournaments as he ever played. What a great time to pile on. I got done looking at that and reading that, and I said to myself, Rob, there's nothing that would make me happier than to see him do it. I would love to see him come back.
Well, Mike, it's funny you would bring up the New York Post because they published an article, and they're talking about how Tiger is getting ready for the tournament, the Masters in Augusta, and they actually have an unnamed source. And this is my favorite kind of unnamed source, an unidentified friend. And he says...
I mean, I just don't know why they throw darts at the guy. He's done so much for the sport.
The friend says, and I quote, Tiger's working really hard in the gym, he's eating right, and he has eliminated sex.
Yeah, well, I've heard that he has eliminated, and how salacious, based on his history, is that article. By the way, the New York Post, a tabloid publication.
Of course it is.
Primarily.
It's fun to read. But
at the same time, let me just put it to you this way.
Yeah.
If he makes the cut and competes over the weekend,
yeah.
If he has a chance to be within 15, 20 places of the lead, you are going to watch the ratings for that golf tournament explode.
Of course.
And it's a tournament that I think is generating more heat than normal.
I don't get to use this much, Mike, but if he makes the cut, his ratings go up, up, up.
Very clever, Rob.
Thank you, Mike.
I appreciate that.
Live
you
sound
will look
effects.
in. This is one of the
of
sports
course I
that
do.
You actually watch on the Magic Box. You like that. I don't know what it is about me and Tiger. My wife gets mad at me. A lot of people get mad because...
Why?
Because Tiger turned off a shitload of people, Rob, when all those scandals it did. I mean, people hated the fact that he had the perfect Swedish wife and he was out banging everything, but his car in the driveway.
I also think he turned some people off when he was so dominant in the game.
Those are the people that probably might be talking about heritage.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think there's any truth to that? So we can talk about that.
I think there could be, but I know this.
I
My
think
family,
there was a racial element to it.
Oh,
Big
sure, of
time.
course there is. But also, I know that we were in a golf pool in my family,
Right.
and no one was allowed to draft Tiger Woods because that would essentially mean you win every week. Every
Well,
time
I thought
Tiger
the
plays,
reason
you
for
win.
that was big. I'm not going to do that.
Be very careful.
I'm not going to do that. Isn't that from one of your Southern Virginia uncles that said, not on my watch?
What we did is it was a tradition. We had the draft every year at my white party.
Not to be confused with one Ashton Kutcher went
Right.
to.
But no, there's that. I mean, I remember when he was just winning time after time after time after time. It took a little bit of the fun out of watching golf.
Oh, I
And
agree. Now, look, there are people that I have not always been Team Tiger, and I have loved it when a guy like Rocco Mediate, an older golfer, competes with Tiger. That's very cool when guys aren't expected. What did that do? That made it all the more compelling. So when he would be beaten or he would have somebody in contention, it would still raise. And then when he went through all the different issues he's had physically, then it becomes the comeback story. And there is a comeback.
America loves that.
But
They
you
love
can't,
a comeback.
Anybody that would describe a winning of the Masters because of his lack of ability as a miracle, like somehow an entity made it happen, knows nothing about the degree of difficulty and the skill set that he has. It's just, now that he's the elder statesman and he's coming back, golf is a game for old farts. We love it when the old farts that are still playing can win, and it's not the guy with the 15-inch waist that comes from that has a name that nobody fucking recognizes. That's what the game is all about, in my humble opinion.
So when you call him an elder statesman, perhaps you're implying that he can no longer have sex.
Oh, he can have sex.
You think he can?
Oh, I know he can have sex.
Well, he hasn't been seen anyone since, as they refer to it, the messy split with Erica Herman 2 years ago.
That didn't surprise me, though.
Well, I think
by
his
the
life.
way, I preface this by saying this is all speculation, but Tiger, still one of the biggest names in sports, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Don't.
I always looked at her, and when you consider his ex-wife, who was, a model and stunning, I just thought that
Ellen Nordegren.
She was beautiful, and
She really
given him,
was.
two beautiful children, including his son Charlie, who is now winning junior titles and high school championships. And
Is it
he will
Charlie
be
with
pro.
a Y?
Charlie. Hi, Charlie. How about a piece of chocolate cake, Charlie? By the way, that's the what was the movie with Ralph
Show?
Fiennes? Quiz Show.
Yeah.
That's the Quiz Show, Charlie. Where he plays his father.
Wow,
Hello, Charlie.
what have we here?
What have we here, Charlie? Charlie Woods is going to participate in the tournament.
So I guess that would make Tiger be played by that old man.
Yeah. Hold on, Rob. Wait a minute.
What's that?
Hold on just a second. I believe
Yes?
we have Charlie Woods on the phone with us.
Oh, we
right
do?
now.
That's excellent. This is great. This is.
Why don't you pick it up, see if he's on there.
Okay, hello. Is this Charlie? Charlie Woods?
Hello?
No, Charlie.
Oh, it's Charlie.
Is this Charlie Woods?
No, Rob. It's
I-
Charlie Stuang Stabalak.
What are you doing at Augusta?
Caddying.
For who? For who?
I'm caddying for... Now you caught me. I don't fucking know.
You
Goodbye,
don't know.
Rob.
Oh, bye. I was going to ask. I thought Charlie still had his job at Augusta.
Might be running out of gas at the end of the week, Rob. Can't help myself. But no,
Charlie
So-
was the guy at Augusta who died to the lake.
Yeah, he had the messy split with his girlfriend, who was a manager at his Jupiter, Florida. Not that I'm obsessed.
No, not
with
at
Tiger
all.
Woods, but I'm a pretty good source of knowledge on all things Tiger. And since I fall into the school of the man paid his dues.
Yeah.
I'm sure privately and certainly publicly, the man went through it and then had that bad luck at the Genesis where he rolled the car and almost died. And then
Mike,
made the
who
comeback.
hasn't rolled a car?
It's no big deal.
It's nothing.
When you hear about Tiger almost dying, do you ever feel how lucky you were to
Extraordinarily
to not be
lucky.
totally messed up from that
I
accident?
credit the Subaru Corporation because yes,
'Cause the crash,
what I did was ridiculous, and I remember when you buy a Subaru, they tell you they give you a class to show you all the features of your car, and then they give you a $20 gas card, and that's the reason why I did it. And you get a notepad too. But they said if you ever get in a situation where your car cannot, if you get stuck or your car does not perform well, call me because I want to hear about it. And I called this lady. I said, well, I flipped, and that was a Forester that I flipped. Okay. I said, I flipped the Forester. She said, how? She said, the center of gravity is so low, that car is almost impossible to flip. I said, well, I did it. And she said, well,
I always picture you in a van for some reason. It's not, you were in a little Subaru Forester.
yeah, a little crossover. I'm in a slightly bigger crossover now, but essentially it's the same car.
Would you get an Outback?
I got an Outback. Yeah, I love
And
it.
they're phenomenal. I mean,
Oh,
would you
I
agree?
love it. Yes, I'll
We
never
loved
buy another
ours
car.
when we had one.
I will never buy another. And Julia drives a classic Forester.
Yeah.
That they had the engine replaced, and she loves that.
We had a stick. We had a standard transmission.
Oh, I bet
in
it was
our Forester up in Maine.
indestructible. Had
Yeah.
to be indestructible.
Yeah. Or as the time I like to say, when I had a car just sitting up there in Maine, during the period of time where I thought I had more funds than I really had. Anyway, moving right.
But yeah, Mike, consider myself lucky. You bet I do. I should have been dead that day. I really should have.
Because they're tanks. They
are.
really are tanks. I am at that time with automobiles right now where I keep going back and forth based on the type of driving that I see down here in Southwest Florida, which is the clueless senior citizens and the pickup trucks going 90 miles an hour. I feel as though I need an SUV simply because of road level. I don't want to be low to the ground. But then I will see something go buzzing by.
Well, you're a sports car guy. You mentioned
love
in the
it,
show
but-
Thursday this week you'd like to have a Charger again.
But I have been in an SUV for so long now, and Carla drives one too, that the sense of being low to the ground and the sense of seeing people. Oh, I should throw in one little last category: the
Yeah.
kids, the youngsters that fly around down here. There was a Nissan Z that he had tweaked up with the exhaust, and he was driving like a complete fucking jackass as he's going around. So I think it's going to be an SUV. Oh, I know what I saw.
But
You know
like
what I
Mike,
saw?
like when you say SUV, do you mean like a crossover or do you mean like something
Sport utility vehicle, Rob.
But I mean like a Tahoe, something like up.
No,
up,
not
up?
that big. Just something that is hardier
Okay.
than a sedan or a coupe.
I'm with
It's
you.
not
Okay.
low to the ground.
Right.
And yesterday, I've never seen this vehicle. I am pulling out of one of the side streets in Richville, south of here, where really a more wealthy address than Beverly Hills.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what they say about it. I'm pulling out of there is a Mercedes Maybach SUV. And this
Is it
thing,
beautiful?
Oh my God! I can't even imagine what something like that would cost.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now because I'm going to.
I bet you see that's funny. You're lying because you can imagine what it costs, and you have.
No, I could. That's rarefied.
Someday, Mike, if people buy bonus shows,
I agree. You gotta never say never. Never say die. It's a new
Right.
world.
Right.
It's a new world. All right. I'm going to put Mercedes Maybach SUV. Putting that up here right now. Okay. 2024 Mercedes. I'm going to put that one up there. I'll click on that right now.
careful you don't buy it by accident. A
A
lot of times that happens.
2024, Rob, Mercedes-Benz. No, don't stop it.
That's the
Don't
Maybach
call me.
song.
They're calling me. I just put it up there, and they're trying to sell it to me, you bastards. Fuck you.
9. I don't want your car. 9.
2024 Mercedes-Benz GLS, classic GLS. That's now an S. A GLS would be the S version of the SUV in a regular Mercedes.
Okay. All right.
The Mercedes-Benz Maybach 4MATIC all-wheel drive with 25 miles on it. So
Yes.
technically it's used.
Yeah, but pretty good.
$202,000.
Does that come with Mercedes leather? Or
It's
real leather?
it's a very plush vinyl. It's a better seat. I prefer that one. There we are. Yeah, so anyway.
Well, that's
That's
wow.
the high end. You can get them as cheap as $188,000.
Oh, well, that's the one I would get, the 180,000.
The regular GLSs go for about $90,000.
And that's if they have like 35 miles on them. They're gently used.
It's a fuck you car. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
do,
car that,
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
down there. But getting back to the Subaru,
Yeah.
which is financially realistic for a lot of people, as
It is.
opposed to that is I've got the book. I carry it with me. It's my Bible.
What?
This is my Bible.
Oh, the new car Bible.
This is the best and worst cars, trucks, and SUVs. You are driving an Outback. I'm looking that up
2023
right now.
Outback. Yes, sir.
All right, looking that up right now.
It's blue. Does that make a difference?
It does not. The color does not matter. You idiot.
Cosmic
It does not
blue,
matter.
actually. They have the good name for them.
Subaru. No, not a BRZ. You are driving an Outback.
An
I'm
Outback.
looking. All right. They have there's the Crosstrek, which is also a nice looking
I
vehicle.
test drove it. It felt smaller to me. Felt smaller in the shoulders, so it wasn't as well suited to me.
Smaller in the shoulders. What are you buying? A fucking suit?
Well, Mike, do you want to drive in a car that you're uncomfortable in?
The Subaru Forester, and these are high grades.
Okay, but it's an Outback we're looking for.
All right, but the Subaru Forester scores an 88.
Out of 100?
Yep.
That's
The
great.
Outback,
I'll take
the
that.
Outback not as good, 79, but it's still a really high
Fuck
grade.
you and fuck your book. It's a
not-
great car.
It's Consumer Reports. It scores 89 on the road test. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Satisfaction gets the arrow up, the green arrow up. That's
Cool,
the,
I'll take
that's
that,
the key
yeah.
that I use. Little issue with reliability.
Really?
Yeah. Little
What's
issue
the-
with reliability.
It's been perfect for me thus far.
And it seems that the reliability on power equipment and body hardware. But that's only for 2021. Oh, you know what the real bad part? Have
What?
you had any issues with the in-car electronics?
None at all.
That's the red marks going
Really?
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they get the low reliability score for.
Well, I'm
because the
also for that.
electronics.
I'm totally covered for the next 5 years. So if it
All right.
happens, I have to
So
fix
your
it.
Outback gets a 79. I'm going to go to the Mercedes.
Mercedes, as Liddy used to say.
I'm just gonna. I won't have a
Mercedes-Benz.
Maybach on here,
All right.
but I will have a probably a GLS.
Okay.
All right, CLA. Hold it,
Classy,
get into the
CLA
USA,
for class.
GLB. Where is the GLS?
Great looking.
GLS.
Okay.
65.
Oh, I destroy it.
Low on reliability, low on satisfaction, 82 on the road test. You kick it out of
Yeah.
kick it out of the park with that.
You know what they say, Mike? They say when you drive that car, I can't get no satisfaction.
That's my Bible right there. And be aware of those pesky electronics. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right,
Let's
Mike.
move on.
I have a new feature I'd like to debut. I know there's been some changes in the week,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one I'd like to add. It's called the Rob Spiewak News Story of the Week.
Okay,
and
very
that's
good.
when a lot of
Do you
really
have any elements
intriguing-
for this?
No, just a story, and I think
see
you'll
if
enjoy
I
it. I
can.
have some pictures. I had.
All right, let me see if I've got something for you.
This is when a whole bunch of great elements come together to make a wonderful story.
All
Are
right,
you
ready?
familiar?
Say it
Yes,
again.
go.
The Rob
Spiewak News Story of the Week.
Fragile.
Perfect.
That must be Italian.
It's not Italian.
All right, let's try another one.
Okay,
Hold on
the
just a
Rob
second.
Spiewak News Story of the Week. All right, what if I helped out on this end? Maybe this would help. The Rob Spiewak News Story of the Week.
Just the king.
The king.
He's the king. King. He is the king.
He's the king. He's great. I love him.
He's the king.
Mike, that actually works.
It did. Thank you.
Because I want you to look
I'm
at
done.
this photograph and know that this is the subject of our story this
Is
week.
that a Star Trek jersey?
Mike, it is. And I will read to you
Is
the
that
headline.
a regular person or a Star Trek
Well, it's a guy
star?
that he used to be alive. And he's
Wait,
a
show,
regular-
put it up again. I want to see if
Okay.
I've got the right guy. Is that Chekhov?
No, it's a guy. It's a regular guy.
It's a regular schmo?
It's a regular schmo. And Mike,
he's
it takes
dead?
place in Ticonderoga, New York. Are you familiar with the region?
I do. It's beautiful up there.
Yes. The headline says, retired chiropractor kills Elvis impersonator with chloroform.
So that is the picture of the retired chiropractor?
Yeah, but it's no. That's the Elvis impersonator, T.J. Green. Look at his hair. Ignore
You
the
know, I
Star
know
Trek
you don't
thing.
listen. I have the degree in broadcast journalism. You
Yes.
have a degree in communications.
Broadcasting,
I am a more thorough journalist. Did you
This is
happen
true.
to research why the chiropractor or why the Elvis impersonator would be wearing a Star Trek shirt?
Mike, indeed I did, but
You
it's
did.
what we have.
Congratulations.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
This is what we had, the inverted pyramid of broadcasting, where we
got it.
start broad
Okay.
and get his name, he performs as an Elvis impersonator.
Or performed?
You're right, Mike. Forgive me. He performed under the name T.J. Green, but that's not his real name. His real name is Thomas Kreider. And the thing is that if you are a fine Elvis impersonator, and I follow a lot of them on Facebook, you travel to different gigs. You'll go to London or you'll go to France, and
If you're a good one.
If you're a good one. The lesser ones probably stay in Ticonderoga.
Good one.
So this is actually a suburb of Ticonderoga, Mike, and it says Ballston Spa, which is the name of the town. A Ticonderoga man celebrated for his longtime devotion to impersonations of Elvis Presley and work at Ticonderoga's Star Trek Museum.
Oh, so Ticonderoga has a Star Trek museum.
Yes.
And that's probably his uniform that he
Exactly.
wore.
He
Oh,
was
now it's
killed,
making sense.
and a retired chiropractor was charged with manslaughter after smothering him with chloroform in what investigators described as a sexual encounter.
Oh, no. Oh, no, not sexual because it's jealousy or something. Sexual because they were deciding to participate with
The
each other.
chloroform had to do with the experience. Yeah. Mike, here's another picture of TJ Green with his cat.
Oh, look at him. So the chiropractor was his lover.
I don't know if he was his lover or if it was someone that he just encountered online, because as it goes on,
All right.
the way they met,
hookup.
the hookup was engineered because, well, of course, you got to know that the Elvis impersonator, TJ, was almost nice to a fault. That's how his friends
that's
described
sad.
him. And he ran the
That's
Star Trek
sad.
Museum, where he built a replica of the bridge, and you can pay a small fee in Ticonderoga, New York, and go in and pretend you're on Star Trek.
Okay. Well, for Trekkies, that would be a lot. Was this a homemade museum or was
Yeah,
this
it's nothing actual. He built it all himself.
Was it in
What
his
he-
house?
It looked to be, Mike, in a strip mall. So it would be like a vape shop and a nail salon, and then the homemade Star Trek place.
During skin.
He had a friend named James Cawley who says he was always so trusting that even if he met someone one time, they were a friend. So the hookup with the chiropractor that killed the Elvis impersonator with the chloroform, they struck a deal where he was going to trade some furniture for the chiropractor's used box spring mattress.
Now I'm confused. Now, I mean, there are so many elements in this story. I have to ask you some
I know,
questions.
that's why it's the story of the week.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
He goes, he online, he makes a deal with the chiropractor
Yes.
to trade some furnishings for a mattress.
A box spring. Now,
box
the box
spring.
spring is under the mattress. And
How great a fucking box spring.
Hey, if you need one, you need one.
But I mean, to trade any kind of a box spring
Well,
is
also
just,
stay away from any used mattress.
but I would if you needed one and there was a deal on a box spring, that's not the same as the mattress. It's not touching skin. But the idea, I'm thinking value here, Rob. The idea
I am
of
too.
what furniture would be traded, but this is one of those Facebook marketplace deals.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe there was secret code involved where he said, "Do you want my furniture?"
Okay, all right. So
Now, chloroform is illegal, Mike.
what do we know about the chiropractor?
The courts state that Raher, this is the chiropractor, recklessly caused Kreider, that's the Elvis impersonator's, death after restraining him and binding him and administering chloroform more than one time.
Well, that means he was trying to knock him out.
Yeah, but I think that's
this
part
is
of the
probably-
sexual
why are they-
encounter.
Well, but they're saying sexual encounter, but it doesn't sound like it was in any way consensual. This was probably him trying to get off, right?
Probably, unless, I imagine there are those, and, details will come to pass because I'm not there for the courts and they haven't tried him yet, but I imagine there's something for everybody.
This opens up an interesting, weird world that I brought to this show a
Yes.
short time back called ASMR. You know what I'm talking about,
Yes,
right?
yeah, uh-huh.
Where there's one particular chiropractor who is bald, skinny, and has a big like ZZ Top beard.
Yeah.
And he brings in turbo hotties
Yep.
in very tight workout clothing and proceeds to and really, when I'm talking tight, you can see a lot. You can see a lot, Timon.
Yeah,
and
you
brings
see a
him in.
lot.
But
Yes.
there is this undercurrent of sexual. It's not even an undercurrent. It's overt sexually to anybody that would look at it, and it makes me wonder: is this, the world of chiropractic? I don't know. They're a little hinky. Some of these guys.
It's, I think.
By the way, all the chiropractors are going to send me emails over the weekend. Please, I am not besmirching your profession. I know these are outliers, but I've been curious for a long time about this guy that does the adjustments of the women when you can
if
see
you
their
get
butt cracks.
emails from chiropractors, I guarantee you they're going to offer you a service plan. That's all they're going to do.
I know.
They love to make money.
I understand, but it's a weird world. It sounds to me like maybe this guy was setting him up, and maybe not intending to murder him, but intending to, what's the word I'm looking for? Incapacitate.
Yeah, and there's something for everybody, and I don't fault anybody for having what they like.
Are you
Maybe
picturing it
as consensual?
But are you? No, or you are. I'm not.
It could be. Could
Are
be.
you
I'm just
picturing
saying.
it occurring in the chiropractic office?
Face down
Ass up,
with his head in the thing.
in the head in the little separated pillow where they put the paper over.
Oh my God! Do you think there was a sexual encounter on paper because it would be so loud?
I would think that you could those chiropractic chairs or
Yes.
tables.
Yes,
You have wonderful sexual experiences with that, but
Probably.
I don't know. If the Elvis, Star Trek. This is so confusing. Star Trek guy didn't want to participate. Maybe he, he said, I'm not doing that, and then the guy bound him with duct tape and chloroformed him.
Did he put the electrostems on him?
After the chloroform, first bout of
Probably.
it. Probably.
Yeah, well, because they did it several times.
Is there anything in the story, seriously, about whether they believe this was consensual? Is there anything
There's
in there
nothing. There's no mention of consensuality, but they do say that the
tryst
Elvis
gone wrong is what might be.
They
in the
do say that the Elvis guy made friends with everybody. Nice to a fault. And here's what makes this so tragic is because of the
But the
eclipse.
death's not enough to make it
Mike, the tragedy is multifold. It's layered.
Okay, I get it.
They were preparing for May 17th, which is the weekend where they celebrate the Star Trek fans, to the Essex County Village where they have their Star Trek festival. And Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov,
is that close by the Ticonderoga Museum?
Yeah, that's where his store is.
Okay.
That's where. So Chekhov was going to come to town and be in the Star Trek store, and now it can't happen.
And they're aging out completely and totally, those guys. He's one of the
That's true.
few that's left. And now the guy that was celebrating him is dead. Will they still be able to go on with the Star Trek Festival?
They say they're going to try in honor of him, who they call a sci-fi geek and a nerd. Mike, this guy, this Elvis impersonator who did his best to bring Star Trek to all the people of Ticonderoga,
yes,
even got a tattoo sleeve on his arm of He-Man and She-Ra. So he loved everything.
I bet there's an Uhura around somewhere, a large, a larger version. A larger version of Uhura.
I think you have to pay extra to see that.
That's going to probably carry the torch as this moves on. Now, I know that you are fascinated with all the peripheral stories, but
Yes.
I am curious, like I would be watching a Dateline, as to the crime itself and whether or not it was because there's a little thing for all you In Excess fans out there.
Yes, Michael
called
Hutchins.
autoerotic asphyxiation. And it perhaps due to gratification, they were trying to, but that's not the same thing.
It's not the same. But
it's not nearly the type of.
But let's say
chloroform
you're
just
going to
knocks you out.
see you're dropping the box spring off at your chiropractor, and you
Right.
say, "Hey, you know what? I got a free weekend," and he probably says something like, "Well, you know what? I know how to make chloroform, and you want to mess around with that?" And you drop off the box spring. You say, "Yeah, maybe," and maybe it happens. We're all speculating here because the investigation is not over, and they have not brought anything to court yet. So know this: I will follow this story.
You know what it makes me think of? It makes me wonder. Back in the day when anesthesiology was in its infancy, and they were literally using chloroform to put people under. I wonder how many people bought it just based on that, where they put a little too much in
I
there
bet it happened
in
a lot because I read, chloroform is great in old detective movies and cartoons for putting someone out.
It's also
like
great
that.
it's also great in a margarita.
That's what they call a topper, isn't it?
Put a little chloroform on
Yeah.
it, please.
They but it's not as fast acting as you would think from movies. So this obviously, if he was, bound, there were several applications of the chloroform before it killed him.
So maybe he was trying to kill him.
I can't wait to see.
You think it's a consensual sex act?
Gone bad.
I don't.
I think it's a consensual
No,
sex
because
act
I don't.
gone
What
bad.
do you do? You're incapacitating the guy. He might have offered it, but I think the intention was murder.
Mike, the beauty, though,
Right.
beauty is in the offer.
Yeah. that's
How
it.
would you like to?
Can you stay on this story for me and
I will.
just give me updated?
And I'm sure we have listeners in Ticonderoga. Please let us know if Chekhov makes it. Please send a picture of the Star Trek store.
Right.
And, I think we should probably send a muffin.
I like
there's
the
a
story
widow.
of the week, Rob. I like the story of the week.
It's
I like
very
Rob
complicated.
Spiewak's story of the week. I really that's going to be something I look forward to all week long.
And there is a widow. The Elvis impersonator Star Trek guy has a widow. So if you have it in your
that
heart,
holds out that perhaps he was not into men
Or
because he was married, but it's not the
secret
first time
life.
somebody. You never know. That could be true. Why do you so desperately want to make this consensual? Because it's funnier.
it is, and I like when people get along.
Non-conflict. That's terrific. I get it. Bring as little of that to the show as possible nowadays.
Mike, it's
Count on
really
it.
not conflict. I think really the answer to the story is it's funnier if it's consensual. I hate that he's dead. I really do.
You're a monster to make fun of that tragedy.
No, Mike. You know what they say? Elvis impersonators are like priests. They're bringing us the message of the king.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Let's
You're
move on.
quite welcome. I wanted to talk to you, Mike, about Sarasota, Florida.
Just north of here, about 45 minutes to an hour north.
Do you ever fear an alligator coming onto your grounds?
No.
Or would
not-
it be a
not
crocodile?
particularly.
What's
It'd be
native?
an alligator? They're gators. They're
Okay,
Florida
gator.
gators. It's the
All right.
Florida alligator. That's what it's referred to at. And you're talking about a story that made the rounds down here because this was more. They show up in people's backyards. They
Right.
show up in people's pools. They show up in ponds in back of houses. They show up on doorsteps occasionally. But this one that you have is a big deal.
Yeah, this is Mary Hollenbeck who called 911 because the alligator came in her house.
I have an alligator in my house. How am I going to get rid of the guy? I thought somebody who didn't live here was trying to come in thinking that they were probably in the wrong house. Went near the front door. The gator was already inside. I tried to sound kind of coherent and basically told him that I had an alligator in my house. He was doing the paperwork, getting the address and all. And then he's like, how long is the alligator? I said, about 8 feet.
It was a big guy.
Monster. And
Yeah.
it was in between what appeared to be her kitchen island.
Yeah.
And the sink on the other side. And I mean, that lady is I'd love to poke fun at people in Florida, but that lady was remarkably composed about the whole thing. And I would be batshit scared.
Oh,
if
my
I-
God.
if I
I'd leave the
saw that.
house, lock up. I'd sign the
Do
house
you know what I'm
over to
most
him.
afraid of when it comes to gators? The thing that I have heard, and this was somebody who was attacked on Sanibel Island,
Mm-hmm.
the thing to fear is the infection, even if you get away.
Oh.
The infection. If they're going to kill you, they're going to do what's called the death spiral, and that's what happened to a little old lady who was walking her dog, did not see it coming, went after the dog, and then switched over to the lady, dragged her in, death spiral, lady's gone. That's it.
Wow.
And they don't eat them normally. They just they back off and then they float to the surface. It's horrible.
You know what scares me is when alligators show up with chloroform.
Very only if it's consensual.
Mike, it could very well be consensual.
Yes.
We're going to follow that story. You've had a few weddings. Which was the most drunken wedding of yours?
My first.
Okay.
My first, I tuned up with my buddy before I went to the church.
Okay,
Had a couple
was-
of beers in the morning.
Okay, but in any of these were your brides tuned up?
If they were, I didn't notice.
Okay, well, All I can say is that when Carrie was in the basement of the church getting her makeup done in her dress, she sent a bridesmaid out to get her a quarter pounder because she was hungry. But she did not drink.
That's so innocent and so sweet.
It is. But this bride had a few.
Probably starved herself before the wedding and then, finally said, I made it. I fit into the dress and now bring on the calories.
She did not have to starve herself because she was always beautiful and perfect.
That's very nice. Well, I mean, don't all brides go on a little bit of a fasting situation? I was not trying to make her. So just move on.
I understand.
It's been a long week.
Mike, this bride was perhaps a little inebriated because when she, on video, captured by photographers, ran out of the reception, she ran out with a guy who was not her husband.
What? Oh, you got the wrong.
She really did. Yep. She really did. I love her reaction.
Go get him.
I love her reaction.
You got the wrong dude.
She's not even looking. There he is. That is awesome. That is awesome. They look happy as hell. That is fantastic video.
I do love that. Now, also, I lied. I said I wasn't going to play you any more Eclipse videos or tapes. I've got one more.
Okay.
Imagine you're a teacher in 1978 when the last full eclipse happened in your area. Okay.
That would have been just after I got out of high school.
Right. As a matter of fact, this guy could have been your teacher.
Okay.
Because he had this other eclipse that happened this week was also in the zone of totality. But back in the late 70s, he told his students, it was his first year teaching, he said, you may want to circle this date in 2024 because we're going to have an eclipse on this date. And if you like, we can watch it together. And he mentioned this throughout his classes.
This is sweet.
And here he is. He is now retired. But 100 students showed up to watch the eclipse with him.
That is
this week.
There's good news tonight about a reunion 46 years in the making. One that's only possible thanks to a once-in-a-generation eclipse and a once-in-a-lifetime teacher.
It's so good to see you.
They're all grown up now.
How are you?
I am so happy to 78. He flagged his students about an eclipse way down the road in 2024, inviting them all back to watch together.
I said, hey, why don't you circle this April 8th, 2024 eclipse? And you know what? We're going to get together on that.
And you said that in 1978.
78. Beautiful. And my kids looked at me like I was crazy.
Mike, 100 kids showed up.
That is, as somebody who's connected, I know, to some of your teachers, that had to be that's a sweet story for
That's
everybody.
amazing. And Ashton Kutcher showed up.
No, you got the wrong story. That is not true.
No, they asked him about the eclipse part. He said, I don't want to talk about that.
I don't know about that. No, what they found, unfortunately, after they watched the eclipse was a giant carton of chloroform in his garage, which was, very... Oh, do you have one more?
I do. Mike, I actually have two more for you.
I was giving you the cue. Okay, rock
That's
and
all right. Netherlands. You've never been to the Netherlands, have you?
Never
I
had
have
the
not.
pleasure. Love to go.
I would too. They are doing a new advertising campaign that I don't think has ever been done. It's for McDonald's.
Okay.
And imagine you are in like a park square or, like a little park area in a city, and you see a billboard. It's just I would imagine like 8 by 4 foot. It's at ground level.
Okay.
I saw a red one. I saw a yellow one, the colors of McDonald's, and there's nothing written on it. Not a logo, not a word, nothing. But what it does have is little dispensers that put out the smell of McDonald's.
McDonald's. You know it when you smell it. So we wondered, if people can recognize McDonald's by its delicious smell alone, what if we had nothing else on our billboards? Announcing the world's first billboard that smells like McDonald's. We simply used ventilators to subtly diffuse our iconic scent, strategically placed the billboards near restaurants, and then let the uncontrollable cravings begin.
Now McDonald's. For McDonald's.
Targeting thousands of noses across the Netherlands. It's the first billboard where the smell becomes the ad.
Now, here is something that I do know for a fact.
They could have saved money by just having Mike McIntosh stand off the corner of the green. That would have been fine.
But when my dad's dad was a teacher in the summertime, he would work at the beach because the family would live at the beach in the summer. He had a luncheonette on the boardwalk, and every morning he would throw onions on the flat top and just cook them so people would smell onions and come and want food. So I do think that the olfactory sense does work, but what troubles me about this is it's got to be
there's nothing better. As far as
but is
attracting
it
you to food, there's nothing better than the olfactory sense because you are. I mean, down at Happy Valley, they'll be making breakfast, and I'm on the driving range, and I can hardly swing the club. I'm so hungry. It's fantastico.
But the only thing that troubles me is the possible thought of bad, fake McDonald's smell, like a Yankee Candle smell.
That's true. That's
because
true. Yeah.
they can't really do it.
He got the customers because he put the real onions on the grill.
Exactly. Attaboy, Wes Spiewak. And Mike, let's finish up in the Bronx, New York. Trouble for Con Edison up in the Bronx.
The utility company Con Edison announced this week that they accidentally spilled about 1,000 gallons of oil into the Bronx River, which severely polluted the oil.
You know how bad that can be.
That is a standard formula joke, buddy.
All I have for you today, Mike.
That's it. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for everything. We appreciate that. Thanks to the great and powerful Oz as well. Great work, everybody. And to our listeners, you folks that reached out to us, to Rob and to me and to my wife, Carla, all week long, it probably was just about as appreciated as it's ever been, at least on my end. And I thank you for that. And great things to come. We, I think we sort of learned something about ourselves this week.
Mike, as we move forward with this show, there's one thing I think we can all agree on, and that is it's consensual.
It's consensual. Yeah, absolutely. Please don't fall asleep when I chloroform you. For Rob Spiewak, the great and powerful Oz, and all of our listeners, Mike O'Mara saying, so long, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to our TMOS bonus show. If you're hearing me right now, you are the backbone of TMOS Nation, and we love you for it. Remember, you can also grab the bonus show on Apple Podcasts, just one click on your phone, and you get the content. Nice. So, no matter how you got it, thanks for getting it. We appreciate you.
Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment.
At what time did Mr. O'Mara's review come in last night?
Oh, he didn't come in here at all. We're all on computers now. You see, O'Mara wrote his reviews on his home computer and then sent it in here by modems over the telephone.
Oh, my goodness, how modern.
Oh, you left out a bunch of stuff.